You know, as much as I would love for the Clippers to actually go and get somebody like Kyle Lowry, I don't really agree with what they would have to give up for him. As you see on the screen here, Marcus Morris and Robert Covington would be for Kyle Lowry, and a pick is what possibly, potentially, allegedly, however you want to say, is what the Heat would be looking for in regards to a swap out. And me personally, like I said, I like Kyle Lowry. I really do. I know he's championship worthy. What I saw him in the playoffs last year with the Miami Heat, the little bit that he played, he can't really play the way he used to as like a starter and all that. I feel like injuries have caught up with him a little bit, but he still could be a very productive bench playing point guard who can give you ideal great minutes, just like he did with the Heat last year. When he came in the game, at times when he came in, even though he was hurting, I think his ankle or something like that was bothering him, or his knee, but he came in, hit some big shots, knocked down big shots, played a little bit of defense as he usually do with that pit bull mentality that he has. And it was a part of the reason why they went further. I know Jimmy Butler got a lot of the credit because he's the guy on Miami, but at the same time, like the intangibles, the little things that Kyle Lowry was doing and the other guys that was undrafted on the team were doing really propelled them to where they got to. And Jimmy Butler, definitely anchored it, a lot. But, Kyle Lowry comes in and gives you, great minutes every time he's on the floor. He's always productive. And in playoff games, for the last few years, since he's won that championship with Kawhi Leonard, he's been spot on in regards to the playoffs. He comes in, he gives you good minutes. He doesn't waste energy. He doesn't waste time. He makes good passes. He understands what he needs to do. And like I said, he's a knockdown shooter, and that's what you need in a point guard. And that's what I think the Clippers would thrive off of if they had a point guard like that. And like I said, that's no knock to Russ. I know a lot of you probably think I don't like Russ. I do like Russ. It's nothing like that. I'm just saying that when you have a point guard who can stretch the floor, you're a lot more dangerous than you are rather than having a point guard who really can't stretch the floor, like talking about it, or you can't really depend on him knocking down that shot, like talking about it. With Russ, it's up and down. It's a roller coaster, whether it's a 50-50 chance whether he'll knock down a game-winning three if he has the shot to take. It's, you could look at it as a 50-50 chance with Kyle Lowry too, but at the same time, we've seen Kyle Lowry knock down big shots in NBA finals, in the playoffs, in the NBA finals against Stephen Curry, against the Warriors. And he was a big part of the reason why, the Clippers, the Toronto Raptors won as well, along with Fred VanVleet, of course, and Kawhi being Kawhi. But my point is, having a point guard like that who understands situations, as you always hear me talk about, situational situations is key when you're trying to win championships, because you got to have somebody who who you really can depend on to make the right play at the right time and understand what his position is. And at times, Russ doesn't understand what his position is because he kind of goes haywire and just goes all gas, no brakes, and, not realizing what he's doing. And then all of a sudden, sometimes he might make a mistake or something like that. And, it's detrimental to, the team winning that game specifically. And, since Russ has been on the Clippers in the playoffs, he hasn't made many mistakes. So I'm not knocking Russ for anything. I'm just speaking on the totality of his career. I'm not talking about the little stint he's been with the Clippers. Totality of his career, that's what he's been like. And since he's been with the Clippers, he hasn't been bad. I can't really knock him for too much, besides, he ain't been with the Clippers long enough for us to really, generate a real opinion of what he's going to be like in the playoffs and things like that, because their playoff run got cut short because Kawhi got hurt and PG was hurt prior to even going to the playoffs. So my point is, like, you really can't, you can only give a brief synopsis on what you've seen of Russ in the playoffs, because he just got to the Clippers like at the end of the season last year, damn near trade deadline, and it was all just sprung on us at one time, and we had to just deal with it and see where it went. So I'm not going to say too much there, but I'm just saying I think Kyle Lowry would be a very good fit for the Clippers, because if Kyle Lowry definitely wouldn't mind coming off the bench, he definitely wouldn't mind contributing off the bench or whatever they need, because Kyle Lowry knows he probably doesn't have much left in him, maybe about 2 to 3 years at best. And that 2 to 3 years, I'm pretty sure he would like to go out with a championship, or at least be on a team that has the opportunity, to win a championship. And the Clippers definitely have that opportunity. The Clippers definitely are, in contention. Everybody knows if healthy, they're definitely a championship contender. No doubt about it. And to me, Kyle Lowry would be a good a good piece for them, the missing piece I think they needed. I've said a couple seasons ago they should have went after Kyle Lowry because his basketball IQ overrides a lot of his talent to me. Because when you look at Kyle Lowry, you're not really looking at him strictly for like numbers and things like that. You're looking at Kyle Lowry about what he can do and how he can affect the game impact wise at certain times or in certain moments of the game in certain situations like the playoffs. And as I said, in the playoffs, Kyle Lowry shows up. He really does. He will play his ass off. He will go out there and try to play both ends. And like I said, he makes things happen. He's led the league in steals one time before. You know what I'm saying? It's been a while, but still he's very methodical and good at what he does. And like I said, if he's taking the last shot for the Clippers in a game, I wouldn't mind it. Of course, I prefer Kawhi or PG to take it, but I wouldn't mind if Kyle Lowry took it because he's one of those streaky shooters to where he's streaky in regards to his streaky comes on when it needs to, especially what I saw in Toronto years going forward after Toronto, when they won championship going forward. He's kind of streaky when he needs to be. And just like last year in the playoffs, he kind of caught a little bit of rhythm in a couple of those games where, Jimmy Butler sat down and they had to try to, keep the momentum going and, make a comeback in some of those games or, push forward. Kyle Lowry caught a little momentum. He started hitting guys with a couple good passes, finding them where they need to be, setting up shots for those undrafted guys, the Caleb Martins and all those guys. And, he was knocking down shots himself. And those are one of those little things that helped Miami propel to as far as they got in the playoffs last year. And he could do the same thing for the Clippers because they don't have a bunch of undrafted guys. Even though the undrafted guys play good for the Miami, they got guys on the Clippers who really can hoop. So finding them in the right spots, giving them easier shots, giving Kawhi easier shot because he's already used to Kawhi and stuff like that, along with Norman Powell, it would just be a perfect fit to me. So to me, the Clippers, you can go after this trade if you need to. Of course, I don't want them to give up too much. I don't really necessarily agree with Rocco and Marcus Morris. I would say Marcus Morris and maybe, Amir Coffey or somebody like that off the bench, for, Kyle Lowry would be a better, trade proposal. But I mean, of course, I can't tell the Clippers what to do, nor can you or whatever. They make their own decisions. But I definitely, if they could find a way to get Kyle Lowry and not give up too much or not give up too much of their depth, I definitely would find a way to go after it and do what they have to do and get him because he's definitely one of those pieces that'll give you a better opportunity to win because there again, he's won a championship. And I don't care if other players on the team are more talented than him. If you've never won a championship before, you're not on that level. And it's a certain level you have to be on to win championships. A lot of players on a lot of teams are more talented than Kyle Lowry. But championship-wise, they're not more talented. And that makes the difference to me. But hey, that's my take on everything. Leave any comments and we'll talk about it.